Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Look, man, the boxing fans explode at the idea of Crawford fighting Alexis Rocha next. Let me tell you, man, so many people are agitated right now, man. And you can see it in the comment sections on the videos that I'm doing, and the shorts that I'm doing, and also on Twitter. Now, one thing I do realize is having this YouTube channel and just talking about boxing and trying to have a healthy dialogue. There's some fanatics out here, man, and I'm talking about that support Bud Crawford, that support Errol Spence. And if they get an opportunity to support their guy, they're going to support him tooth and nail. If they get an opportunity to tear down the other fighter, then they're going to tear him down tooth and nail. And if you have a YouTube channel and you're talking about a fighter and he's just being fair and unbiased, but they don't like what you're saying, they'll try to tear you down tooth and nail too. So before we get into this, I'd ask you to like and subscribe, and let's just get to it, right? What do y'all want Crawford to do? Now this is why I say that. Look, Crawford is his own man, okay? Now, I don't think Crawford should sign with De La Hoya. I think he needs to run far away from De La Hoya. Like I said in the shorts that I did, what I tweeted, I honestly feel De La Hoya is going to try to do Terence Crawford the way he did Saddam Ali against Jaime Munguia. And we know what he did to Saddam Ali. He set that man up to fall flat on his face. Okay? And with Terence Crawford, although Terence Crawford's not Saddam Ali, what I'm getting at is De La Hoya is looking at his own interests. You know, what benefits him? Couple things to point out here with Terence Crawford, right? Oscar De La Hoya is talking about, yeah, Terence Crawford, come on over here. We'll work out a series of fights, and then we can get him to Spence fight after. What in, let me tell you something, man. What in the world is Oscar De La Hoya talking about? This is the reality. It doesn't matter if you're a Spence fan or a Crawford fan. I think we can all agree on this. Right now, this may be the last opportunity. And to be honest with you, I'm so tired of talking about this crap. But this may be the last opportunity for Crawford and Spence, if they desire, right, to try to make the fight. We know what Spence has to do with Thurman. Hopefully they'll start talking more about their fight. We'll get an announcement. You know, it's crickets over on that side of town, right? But at the end of the day, hopefully Spence gets past Thurman. Crawford will figure out who his mandatory is going to be, but more than likely it's Rocha, and I'm going to explain that why in a second. But Crawford and Spence will get beyond whatever little BS they have, and they'll sort things out. And that 60-day window that they're being afforded won't matter, because hopefully they're talking right now to at least establish the framework so that when Spence beats Thurman, which I think I think it's a tough fight, but you'd have to give Spence the benefit of the doubt, right? Then Crawford and Spence can hopefully get in the ring and announce their fight. But this is the problem. This is the thing with this guy Crawford, right? So you can see within the next 6 months, 8 months, more than likely he'll have the Spence fight if him and Spence decide they want to hang around at 147 and they want to make it happen. But this is the problem with De La Hoya. He wants Crawford to fight Rocha, which he may have to anyway. Then try to hang around and talk about he wants to promise him, have him fight Virgil Ortiz. Let me tell y'all something. Virgil Ortiz is fighting Stanley Eunice. Now, who knows what that contract is going to say, if there's going to be a rematch or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Virgil Ortiz, which I don't know this, I'm just saying, he could fight Stanley Eunice here in April, and then they're gonna bang each other up. Like, that's gonna be a violent fight. More than likely, he'll have to wait 6 months till he gets back into the ring to heal. I think they're gonna damage each other. You know what I mean? But let's just say you gotta wait another 6 months. So that's April, that's 3, probably around September. Then they get back in the ring and fight again. And De La Hoya really thinks he's gonna be able to convince Crawford to wait around to September, to after he fights Rocha, to wait till September to fight Stanionis. Let me tell you something. De La Hoya has no plans on trying to make Crawford wait to fight, Ortiz, right? To make him fight Ortiz. He has no plans to make Crawford wait. He wants him to fight Rocha. Ortiz is going to do whatever is best for De La Hoya. And then you know what they're going to do with Terence Crawford? They're going to put him in another fight with probably Blair Cobb. Now, you guys are saying, man, you don't know what you're talking about, right? Well, one thing I know is this. Terence Crawford better run from De La Hoya. De La Hoya talking about he's a guy who can make the fight happen. How? How is De La Hoya all of a sudden the guy who can go over there to PBC and, work together to make big fights happen? I mean, he's only gone on record and said that Al Heyman has single-handedly ruined the sport of boxing. And he said that on several occasions. Just because they're somehow finagling a way to finally get the damn fight done between Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. Don't think for a second that all of a sudden now De La Hoya has this great rapport with Al Heyman and PBC, and they want to make fights with De La Hoya. De La Hoya isn't the person to come to the table with his team to make a fight happen between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. It's all crap. Terence Crawford, the position he's in right now, the opportunity is right there. He doesn't need De La Hoya. But I honestly think De La Hoya is looking at Terence Crawford for his own gain and to benefit his guys. In addition to that, I was trying to find, because I want to give you guys factual stuff. But when you're reading out, there's so much crap out there, and you can read a story about the same issue, and all three stories conflict. But what I'm gathering is De La Hoya may be looking at trying to re-up his agreement with DAZN. And Terence Crawford would give him some leverage and making that deal, but getting more money. Because, Terence Crawford, look, it doesn't matter if you like him or not, man. The consensus is Terence Crawford is the pound-for-pound best. Okay? Now, that's not my opinion. I'm just telling you, when you go out here and look at most of these pound-for-pound rankings, I'd say if you look at 10, 7 is going to have Terence Crawford at the top. Okay? So let's strip the emotion away and be fair, and we all know he can fight. He's not. Some people feel he's not fighting the people he should, but it is what it is at this point. But since we're talking about him not fighting the people he should, I hear people saying, oh, he should fight Ennis. Oh, he needs to fight Spence. Well, I can kind of understand some frustration there, but we're not the fly on the wall. We don't know what all happened. We get bits and pieces of information and we try to make sense of it. People saying he should fight Ugas. He should fight Ortiz Jr. He should fight Stanionis. He should fight Butiev. He should fight Thurman, right? Look, I'm going to show you guys something. Because there was a seismic shift in the welterweight division once Crawford and Spence and that whole deal fell apart and Crawford did his thing with Evanescence. But I don't care what anyone says. Now, this is how I see it. Now, I'm not saying Crawford is a victim. I'm not saying Crawford, him moving on from the Spence fight, that he did the right thing. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying he was wrong or right. I'm not saying he's a victim. I'm not saying nothing. What I'm telling you is I sat back and I watched this playing out, and I did several videos on it. And it wasn't just me. There's a couple teammates on the channel who are watching it play out as well. And there's a couple things that we called, but we said, man, it looks like they're going to basically have Crawford left alone on a little WBO island with a bunch of lesser known names who could end up, and one of them could end up becoming his mandatory. Because we sat back and watched Spence and Thurman start to get worked. We sat back and watched Boots Ennis and Chakadzian start to get worked. We sat back and watched Rashidi Ellis and Villa start to get worked. We sat back and watched Virgil Ortiz. I think I said Virgil Ortiz and Stanley Eunice. We sat back and watched Cody Crowley become the mandatory. We saw Rashidi Ellis come out here. We saw him with Villa and lose. We saw Ugas, wasn't really sure what was going on with him, but he knew his eye was still healing up. So when you take a look at what happened, now you got Boots Ennis. He's got a little interim title, but he's locked into the IBF. He dropped off the WBO, but that was all done on purpose to move him over and get him out the WBO. So now, I'm telling you, this is my opinion, and y'all can leave your comments below. But I'm just telling you, when you look at it, to me it makes sense. I think somebody got pissed off. They said, you know what? We're going to come together. I think the sanctioning body decided to come together, leave the WBO kind of out there in the breeze. And now you got Boots Ennis. He fights for an interim title. He wins it. He falls off the WBO. He's over there, locked into the IBF now. It is what it is. You got Virgil Ortiz. Now, I know he had some opportunities to fight Crawford. I'm not here to get into all that, but I get it, right? Virgil Ortiz and Stanley Eunice. Those guys, Stanley Eunice has a WBA. Ortiz made it to where two of them have to fight. Ortiz, he's still in the WBO rankings as the number one only because he has not fought Stanley Eunice yet. But that's why for Virgil Ortiz, he can't beat Crawford's next fight. Because De La Hoya won the purse bid for Ortiz and Stanley Eunice. It's supposed to be fighting in April. Ortiz can't come down and fight Crawford in February, March, and then try to come down and fight in April. Like the time isn't there. It's all the stars don't line up. So Virgil Ortiz is out of there. So Crawford can't take that fight. So far you got a couple of names that are just totally off the WBO radar. Now, once you get beyond that, you start looking at Cody Crowley and where he is in the WBO. They got him down there at number 4. But let me just show you what I'm talking about, right? So this is the number 1, Ortiz Jr. We know him and Stanley Eunice. They're all tied up with WBA. They're going to be fighting in April. He can't fight Crawford, right? Thurman, he's the number 2 there for the WBO. He can't fight Crawford. He's fighting Spence, right? So these names that I'm mentioning, they're not even available. Stanley Eunice, Ortiz isn't available. Thurman, Spence, not available. Rocha is available. But then when you come down, Cody Crowley, he's not available. He's supposed to be fighting in February and a WBC eliminator, right? So when you just look at, we're at number 4. Look at 5 and 6. Santion, how many people know who that is? Blair Cobb, we all know who that is, but who really gives him who's going to really give credit to Terence Crawford for fighting Blair the Flair Cobb, which is my favorite fighter? You come and look at number 7 right now. If Crawford was to fight Rashidi Ellis, who would give Crawford credit for fighting Rashidi Ellis? Then number 8, you got a guy named Mubar. Then you got Ugas down at number 9. I like Ugas. I think Ugas has a good chance against anybody. But who would really give Terence Crawford credit for coming and banging up Ugas after Ugas got damaged by Earl Spence? Ugas took serious damage in that fight. He had some spots, but he took serious damage, man. So we'll have to wait and see how he performs. But after Ugas, you got this guy Young, Toyoshima. You got Taylor, Shanima, Chukhadzian. Nobody's going to want to see that. And Evanesian. He just fought him. Now, that's not how this was rack and stacked initially. Okay? Boots Ennis was over here, but he's gone. But when you look at it now, you got Terence Crawford, right? But look at what he has. The number 1 he can't fight. The number 2 he can't fight. The number 3, that's what's available to him. Rocha. That was done on purpose. Cody Crowley, he can't even fight him. So when you really look at these first 6 names for Terence Crawford and who's going to be his mandatory, you really have Rocha, Santion, and Cobb to choose from. Because everyone else is committed. And I personally, right? No one told me this. I wasn't part of any discussions. I'm not aware of any representative from any sanctioning body going on any boxing channel and saying, this was our plan. Nah, only the fly on the wall knows. But I'm telling you, we sat back and we watched the movements being made, and we said, you know what? Man, they're about to alienate Crawford. They're about to ostracize him. They're about to blackball him. They're about to make it to where he can't get a notable name to go into a huge pay-per-view fight. They are putting, that's why I did the video and called him Castaway. That's what it is. It's like Tom Hanks in Castaway. He's out there on the WBO island all by himself. Now, I'm not here to say if he did that to himself or he didn't. What I'm here to tell you is, for the boxing fans who are angry at Terence Crawford, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong to be angry. What I'm going to tell you is, he's not choosing to fight Rocha. That more than likely is going to be put on him, or he gives up the WBO belt. It's frustrating. Don't get me wrong. It's frustrating. You know, we should get the fights we want to see. But all I'm saying is, for you guys looking at this video, out of what he has available, Rocha, Santion, and Blair Cobb, I'm going to say, who'd you rather him fight? You're probably going to say none of them. For me, we always know just because someone's ranked number 1 doesn't mean he becomes a mandatory. We know how this boxing politics can go. But right now, everybody else, I mean, the notable names are committed. You know what I'm saying? It's Rocha, Santion, and Cobb. I mean, that's really what he has. Unless they want to, you know, somehow come down here and breathe life back into Ellis, which I would pray that Crawford wouldn't fight him. Ugas would be a good fight. That's a big name. People would probably say, okay, here we go. But still, he's not going to get the credit he deserves for fighting Ugas and beating him because of what Earl Spence did to him. Then after that, I mean, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? So that being said, I'm just going to tell everybody out here, man, I really feel some people got turned off to Terence Crawford, man. And that's just my opinion. And when you look at the way the fights are made, the fighters, the different organizations they're fighting for, and how they really don't have an opportunity to fight for that WBO belt because they're committed to the other. Look, the WBC, they're accounted for, you know, Spence, Thurman, then you got Cody Crowley fighting over there, right? The WBC is bubbling. The IBF, you just had Chikadze and Boots. Now it's Boots and Villa. So, I mean, those guys are accounted for in the IBF. The WBA, you got a Mantis, Stanley Eunice, and Ennis. Those guys are accounted for in the WBA. I mean, and when you get outside of that, I mean, what are we talking about here? You know what I'm saying? Let me show you guys something, man. I don't think people understand. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna tell you. Even when you come to the IBF, we know Spencer's the big man, but then the interim champion is Ennis. The number 2 is vacant, and number 3 is Ortiz Jr. So Ortiz Jr. is busy. Okay, Chikadze just fought. You know, he lost. And Thurman is number 5. But all those guys are somewhat busy. Chikadze is the only one who may be available, and Chikadze is actually calling out Terence Crawford. The WBC, Thurman's number 1. You know, he and Spencer fighting. The number 2 is Virgil Ortiz. But, you know, he's already over there in the WBA busy. Yugas is number 3. Spence already tore him out the frame. Yugas is the only one who may be a good fight for Crawford, but then again, he's ranked very low in the WBO, and who knows if his eyesight is back to where it needs to be. Then Crowley's already got a fight schedule. He's number 4. And then after that, there's some names y'all probably won't even know. Then you come on down to the WBA rankings. You got Ortiz Jr. as number 1, Thurman at number 2. Then you got Butiev at number 3, but it's the WBA. And we know how this works, man. They're not going to come and take someone from another sanctioning body when the WBO already has guys ranked. And again, when you look at this ranking stack here for the WBO, that's horrible. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you guys just how horrible it looks compared to the other sanctioning bodies, right? I'm going to show you something. It's frustrating as hell when you look at it to see what they've done to Terence Crawford. They put him in a horrible position. So let's scroll on up here. I want you guys to see this. It's very frustrating. So when you just look at the ring rankings in the WBO, right? We know the ring rankings are going to show what they have. They got Spence, Crawford, Ennis, Yugas, Ortiz, Stanley Eunice, Thurman, Ben, Butiev, Avanesian. Kind of the bigger names, right? Those are some you'd like to see Crawford mix it up with some of these guys. But when you come on over here to the WBO, we already went down that. Just look at the WBO. Ortiz, Thurman, Rocha, Crowley, Santillan, Cobb, Rashidi Ellis, Obara, Yugas, Young, right? Look at some of those names. Now come on down here. Then we get over here to the let me make this a little bit smaller for you. You get over here to the IBF and the WBC. Now remember what we saw with the WBO, their top 6. Look at these guys, man. The damn IBF. Ennis and Vacant and Ortiz Jr., Chikazi and Thurman and someone named Gallup. You come over to the WBC, you know what I'm saying? You got Thurman, Ortiz, Yugas, Crowley, Sissoko, a guy from France. You got Ramos. You got, Kavaliauskas. He already fought him, but that's a good fight. Avanesian. But you see Barrios, Ellis, James. But when you look at the names, you tend to, there's probably a little more credibility in fighting guys like that. And you come down here to the WBA, Ortiz, Thurman, Butiev, Yugas, Gayasov, Maestri, Shelich, Ramos, Palmetta. So I'm not even, to be honest, some of those names, I don't even know who the hell that is, but the top 6, Butiev will be a real good fight. But when you just look at the top 6, again, a little more credibility to the top 6 opposed to what you're seeing up there with the WBO. Look at the top 6, man. And look who's committed to fights and look who's available. Now, y'all can't tell me that they didn't do that. That wasn't done intentionally to put Terence Crawford in a bad space to where he can't sell pay-per-view and he's going to struggle being independent and kind of, looking to manage and promote himself and advise himself and just do everything on his own. But some people are going to blame him, and I get it. But what I'm saying is it's just really, really crazy that I think some of the boxing fans aren't. I think some will take the time to understand these rankings. I think others just kind of, more or less just kind of watch videos and take it with a grain of salt. But for those who want to get on here and decide to shred Terence Crawford, I understand the frustration. I really do, man. I understand the frustration. People shredding Spence because he's fighting Keith Thurman. But what I'm trying to say is these guys don't have no damn choice, man. What happened with Crawford and Spence, I'm not here to get into all that, but Crawford made a decision to do something that he thought was best for him. But right now, he doesn't have a choice. Right now, Spence doesn't have a choice. Spence fighting Thurman and Crawford maybe fighting this guy Rocha. That's not the fight we want to see. And we're all at that point. But we will see what happens going down the road in the next couple months. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm so tired of talking about this. I feel the ship has sailed. I don't think Crawford and Spence are going to fight. And I just don't think Crawford and Spence are going to want to keep spinning their wheels, especially Spence at 147, fighting, dangerous fighters, knowing he has to kill himself to get down to that weight. I just don't think he wants to do it anymore. If he can't get the Crawford fight, I think Spence is out of there. And it's so unfortunate that we won't get to see that undisputed distinction happen. What's going to happen is the entire division is going to reset. If Spence drops belts, if Crawford drops his belt, the entire division is going to reset. And then you have all these guys fighting. And then we'll have to wait years again until we probably get back to the point to where we can even get close to having an undisputed distinction. But that being said, man, y'all keep cool. More to come on this whole thing, but I'm so tired of talking about it. I'm not pointing fingers at any fighter. I'm just looking at what's going on, and I personally think the sanctioning bodies are showing everybody who the boss is. Spence and Crawford, I think they're blaming them both for those belts not being defended the way the sanctioning bodies felt they should be defended, because those belts being defended equals money to the sanctioning bodies. When those belts aren't defended, that's money the sanctioning bodies aren't making, that they probably planned on making, and they're not happy right now. So at the end of the day, you know who runs boxing? It's not no damn boxer. It's not even that manager or promoter. It's them damn sanctioning bodies. And we know they're corrupt, especially when you look at the crap going on with old Mauricio Suleiman. I don't even want to get into that because we'll go another hour. But Mauricio Suleiman at WBC, this crap with Spence and Thurman, this crap with Caleb Smith at 175, man. And let me tell y'all something, man. Don't get mad at the fighters. Get mad at them damn sanctioning bodies. That's what you get mad at. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. And I'm in the breeze.